Hello and welcome to Midlife Strife. All right, so today I'm going to discuss a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. Anybody who knows me knows that I speak about this a lot, almost ad nauseum. Some of them are kind of sick of hearing it, but this is a special video for me. And I'm going to kick it off by asking you guys a question. And before you answer, I want you to really think about it before you just have an answer pop into your head. The question is, what are your goals? What drives you? What motivates you? What propels you forward? When you wake up in the morning, what is it that stimulates you to say, you know what, I'm going to accomplish X today. I'm going to get this done. And if you're sitting there thinking about it and it takes more than 10 seconds for you to come up with an answer, then you're lacking something, okay? Because you could be saying to yourself, you know, what if I'm happy where I am? I don't need any goals. I'm totally fine. I have a job, I have a wife and kids, and I live in a decent neighborhood. I got a car, and everything's hunky-dory. That may be true, but you also have to look at it this way. Your life changes as you age. So, for example, the diet that you had when you were 20 and 30 isn't going to be the same when you're 50, 60, 70, and onward. It's going to change. What you want out of life when you're 20 and 30, for those of you that are 40 and 50, you know there's a huge difference on your opinion of life when you're in your teens, in your 20s, and your 30s. Well, that goes on. I'm not ignorant to the fact that at 46, I have one opinion, but at 56, it may be totally different. And at 66, it may be different again, which means if my outlook on life changes, then my goals need to change as well. Okay? So that kind of goes out the window too. And you may also be thinking, well, what if I don't have anything that I'm stimulated by? I don't really have any goals. I don't know what I'm passionate about. That's okay. There are a lot of people who are that way, a lot of college students actually, but even people middle-aged or elder are lacking something that they are stimulated by. And the answer to that is you need to reach out and expand your horizons and find what it is that you're passionate about. I mean, how are you ever going to know what you like unless you try things? And I tell people, what is it you're passionate about? I don't know. And I say, well, what are you doing right now? Nothing. I go to work, maybe a job they don't like or they hate flat out, and they go every day and they collect the check and they're living life status quo and they never change anything. And they wonder why they're not into anything. You got to expand your horizons and say, you know what? I'm going to take that pottery class or learn how to play chess or the piano or the guitar or jujitsu or go running. It doesn't have to be a physical thing. It could be, like I said, a musical instrument. Maybe you want to be a better husband or wife or parent to your kids and you want to say, you know what, I'm going to set a goal to spend more time with my kids. I'm going to set a goal to listen to my husband or wife, to listen to my kids, to not just say, leave me alone, I got home, I'm tired. You know, to make it an effort to put forward that emotional time for your kids. Maybe that's your goal. Maybe your goal, it could be anything and everything. It doesn't matter what it is. The point is you have to set that goal. And if you don't, it could be something that moves back and haunts you. And I'm going to share something with you. My father passed away years ago, and he died of cancer, and they gave him a very short amount of time to live. And I remember a conversation I had with the oncologist, and this resonated with me. Because I remember her telling me that when people are on the verge of death or facing death and they're terminal, they never reflect back on their life and think about what they did. It's never, why did I marry this woman? Why did I live in this city? Why did I take that job? Why did I have, a fifth child and stopped at 3? It's never that. That never is what haunts you, she told me. I am with people on the verge of death, she told me, and she said, it's always what they didn't do, what they did not do. Why didn't I start that business? Why didn't I ever call that love of my life back? Now I'm lonely and I'm alone. Why didn't I write that book? Why didn't I ever take that art class? Why didn't I ever hang out and make an effort to make more friends? Whatever the case is, it's always what haunts you. It's what you didn't do, not what you did. So that's something I think you need to really be aware of, because to me, just in my humble opinion, there's no worse thing than going through life and just always being the same. Even if it's something as simple as, I'm going to stimulate my mind by doing more crossword puzzles or Sudoku, even if it's that minuscule. If you're always doing the same level of crossword puzzle and the same level of Sudoku, you're not really going to force the plasticity of your mind. You're never going to push yourself mentally. So when I started jiu-jitsu, and just in my experience, it was to challenge myself. When I started running, it was to challenge myself. Right now I started drinking green tea. Okay? That's a physical thing, but it's also a mental thing, because the last time I tried green tea, I thought it was awful tasting, but I understand it's so good for you that I said, you know what? I'm going to get over this. I'm going to force myself to drink this until I get acclimated. And now it's an acquired taste, and I actually enjoy it. I did the same thing years ago with red wine. The sulfates in the red wine were just so bitter, and I didn't like them. Now I love my red wine, and I have my one glass of red wine at night because it's healthy. And it was initially because it's healthy, and now it's because I enjoy it. But if I wouldn't have pushed my horizons to try something new, whether it's new vegetables or sleeping better, it doesn't matter what it is, you're never going to get better as a person, I think. And when you do find that thing that stimulates you, whatever it is, physical, mental, emotional, it doesn't matter, there's a surefire way for you to fail. And that is, start that new thing, feel excited about it, and say, wow, this is cool, and not setting a goal. Because if you get into that and you've been at it a few weeks or a few months, you need to immediately set a goal. You know, whether it's running. I remember when I started running, I thought, man, I don't know what kind of shape I'm in. Let me see if I can get in shape and go run. I didn't even make it 2 miles. And I couldn't even breathe. It was so bad. Then I said, you know what? This is ridiculous. I need to start running. And I was in my late 30s, I believe. 34, 35. It doesn't matter. I ended up pushing myself to go a little further and a little further. I said, man, I can make it 2.5. Man, I can make it 3. And I go, wow, a 5K is 3.1 miles. I'm going to see if I can run a 5K, not in a race, just on my own. And I ran, I said, wow, I did it. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to push myself to get faster at that 5K. So I just kept running it and running it. My body slowly adjusted to getting more efficient. And sure enough, I was able to start getting it faster. That's when it popped into my head. The next level, I'm going to enter a 5K. I'm going to say it. I'm going to tell people about it. I'm going to put my neck out there and say, you know what? I'm going to take this chance. I'm going to push myself. So when it's out in the open and outside of your head, and it comes out and you tell your friends and you register for that race and you pay for it, you know that you're committed to that race. So the goal is infinitely more propelled forward. So it's a great thing to do that, to actually put your neck on the line and say, you know what, I'm going to move forward with this. It gives you a sense of believing in that goal. And little by little, I went from a 5K to, wow, I think I can run a 10K. And then it was, I think I can run a half marathon. And I think I can run a marathon. And it moves forward that way. And you may be thinking, well, God, then you're never happy. You're never satisfied. That's false. You still look back at what you accomplished. There's no better feeling than when I finish a run or I finish a hard jiu-jitsu set and I said, man, I feel great, because you look back at what you just did and you said, man, that was a hard thing and I knocked it out. So you are satisfied with what you're doing, so much so that you want to create it again, because you already know you accomplished it. And if you just leave it where it is, you're not going to get that feeling. So you still get the feeling of gratitude and appreciation. You're just pushing yourself forward to the next level because you want to seek that out. And that's what humans are meant for, to grow, to expand, to try new things. And it's crucial that you guys get out there and try different things. And I'm going to give you guys a scenario right now that I got from the late, great Dr. Wayne Dyer. He is a metaphysics writer and all that, and he's just primarily about positive mental thinking. And this analogy just really resonated with me, and I'd like to share it with you guys. And I'm paraphrasing, by the way. These are his words. I'm just going to kind of, paraphrase it here. He describes life as a boat. I want you guys to picture a boat. You're on this boat, and this boat is moving forward, right? You're standing at the stern or the back of the boat, and you're looking back at the wake of the boat. And as you're staring at the wake, 3 questions pop into your mind. The first question is, what is this I'm looking at? What is this wake? Okay? You're looking at it from a literal translation and metaphorically speaking. So literally, you're looking at it going, well, this is a trail of where the boat's been, which is what a wake is. It's a trail of where the boat has been. Now, if the boat represents life, what's the difference? The wake of your life is where you've been, who you've met, what you've done, all those things. That's your wake, metaphorically speaking. The second question that pops into your mind is, what is propelling this boat forward? What's making this boat move? And the answer to that is the current energy being expelled by the engine. Okay? That's what's causing it, okay? There's combustion happening. It's driving a piston, turns the shaft, turns the propeller, and the boat moves forward. The current energy being created by the engine is what's propelling this boat forward. Life is the same thing. The current energy that you are feeling in your heart and feeling in your head is what's driving you forward. Okay? So if that energy is, man, everybody's always out trying to get me, the rich get richer, and things never work out for me, and that's just what you're spewing in your brain over and over, actually to your friends and even internally in your mind, that's what you're just going to be driving into. You're driving that boat further and further, deeper and deeper into that same channel. Whereas if your train of thought is always like, I'm going to move forward, I'm getting better, I am successful, I am moving forward, that's where you're going to head, because that's what you're thinking. And the last question that you think of when you're sitting there looking at this wake and pondering, this is my past and what's driving me? The current energy, the current energy being produced by the motor. But the last question you think about as you look at that wake is, can my past, the wake, be determining where this boat is going? And the answer to that is no. Of course the wake can't determine where you're going. Only the current energy can. And metaphorically speaking, the reason I tie those together is there's so many people in this world who go around, well, I can't start this business because I'm way too busy at work, or my wife is always angry at me, or I have to spend time with my kids, or I don't have the proper education, or any excuse in the world. They're looking at circumstance that's happened in the past and letting their past dictate their future. False. What you have controlling you now is where you can go forward. And if you don't have the tools necessary, get them. Get them. Set those goals and make it happen. Because everybody else can. If anybody else can, you can. I'm going to give you one more thing. The next time you drive down a street, any street that's decently populated, not a rural community or anything like that, but the next time you're driving down a decently busy street where there's businesses and stuff, every single thing you look at, everything, and I'm talking about the houses, the dry cleaners, the gas stations, the banks, the restaurants, the bars, it doesn't matter what it is. All of those things had one thing in common at some point. That thing that they had in common is they were all at one point just an idea. That's all they were. Before there were architectural renderings, before they found out the location they were going to go to, before all of that happened, it was just an idea in some woman or some man's mind. I'm going to do this. And they took the action to make it move forward. But you have to take action. You have to take action. You have to push yourself. And like I said, it doesn't have to be financial. It doesn't have to be a business. It doesn't have to be a monetary reward. It could be a reward emotionally for your family. It could be a reward where you volunteer your time, or like I said, you write that book, or you take up chess, or you start learning jiu-jitsu just for the health of it. My goal in jiu-jitsu is to get better at jiu-jitsu and be efficient at jiu-jitsu, where I don't get as tired. When I went in, I barely did one roll. And then I said, you know what, my goal is to be able to do 2 rolls back to back. And I couldn't. I did 1 roll, and then I had to rest, and I did the 3rd roll. And then I did 2 back to back, and I couldn't do the 3rd. And then eventually I was able to do all 3. Then I'm like, okay, I want to try to start getting to where I'm not so tired. You have short-term goals and long-term goals. The big picture in jiu-jitsu for me would be all the way to black belt. Okay, but I have a whole bunch of things along the way, and if I don't set those goals moving forward, there's a higher probability that I'm going to fail. If you're losing weight, the same thing. If you don't set a goal, you know what, I want to be here at this point by this day, and say it, put it out there, you know, and that will help you motivate to get to that goal. Because if you don't, and you take up tennis or bowling or whatever it is that you're doing, and you don't set a goal and you just do it, that's why most people stop, because there's no motivation. There's no driving forward for you to succeed. You know, and I say this all the time. I work with a lot of college students. You can have the person with the greatest degree in the world. He went to Harvard, he went to Princeton, he has multiple degrees, he's a straight A student and all that. You give me a guy who is driven beyond belief, somebody who just has drive and has a high school diploma, I'll take that guy every single time. It sounds crazy, but the reality is there's a sense of entitlement that people get when they have, well, I have this, and I have, you know, I have this experience, or I went to this school or whatever, and they feel like the world should just kind of mold to them. Whereas when you have the guy who's going, I'm going to get this done, I'm going to drive, I'm going to move forward, nothing is going to stop me. Those people are unstoppable. okay? Because they don't care about failure. They set goals and they reset goals and they keep moving forward. So you need to sit back at your life and say, you know what? I'm going to analyze. I'm going to really think about, what am I doing in this boat scenario, in this boat metaphor? What am I doing with my life right now that's going to propel me towards my goal? What are you doing that's going to take you to that ultimate goal that you have? And it doesn't have to be that you're knocking out a whole series of things. You just need to take a baby step, a tiny little thing, just so you can at the end of the day go, you know what, I did this. Even if it was you made a phone call, you went online and you researched, how much is it going to be to start this business? How much money am I going to have to save? What's involved? Do I need insurance? How many staff members am I going to have? Whatever it is, even if it's the tiniest little step, and even if you can't do it every day, but as long as you strive to do it every single day, the tiniest step, one little drop of water can wear away a limestone, a boulder, but you have to just chip away at it slowly. So I think those are things that are hugely important and everybody needs to do. So until next time, appreciate your viewership, and I'll see you.